Hi folks, Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the difference in reporting and the selectivity in reporting of various sort of shootings and killings, and how the international media hysterically gin up any shooting that involves where a white person shoots any black person. If a white person shoots 10 people, one of them black, that's enough for an international headline. And it's also the hysterical headlines and how quickly these headlines go around the world. So the entire international media, globalist media establishment is committed to one thing: to make white people look bad, to guilt and shame white people, and to imply and suggest that there's the most horrendous evil racism in the hearts of white people, but not in anyone else's heart, only white people, of course, and that they want to drive this home, and again with this breathless hysterical reporting. Now, if it's the reverse though, and non-white people or non-Christians kill white people or white Christians, then you're barely going to find a mention of it at all. And if you do, it's going to be buried deep in the media. Now, looking at the breaking news sections of the most prominent pro-globalist, and they're all pro-globalist pretty much, pro-globalist media organisations in Australia, within moments of there was a recent shooting in the United States where a young and very disturbed young man with psychological problems went and shot, I think it was 3 people, maybe 2, but I think it was 3, and those people happened to be black. And straight away the script just kicked straight into gear. It was a fascist Nazi, far right neo-Nazi, Hitler, swastikas, and he was going out to kill black people, and the glee and the gloating with which those announcing it were coming out. It was like something to celebrate. It was like, wow, we've managed to get, because there are so few incidents where white people shoot black people. There aren't very many. So when they get one, they've really got to savor it. They've got to gin it up to the fucking max, and they've got to. And within hours, Joe Biden was on there. White supremacy, it's Joe, and on it went. And all the leading, all the news media outfit didn't have to be leading. Any and all media outlets were again, but they seem to be so pleased about it, and I think it's because it's quite rare. And so when it does happen, and the facts and something irrelevant, it's spun instantly into a story. What's far right Nazis? They're everywhere. This is proof. Nazis everywhere. Hitler is everywhere. And Hitler is under every bed, in every closet, around every corner. And this is proof. So it's insane reporting that where facts are, it's almost like in a war, facts and truth are casualties, the first casualties. And we're kind of in a war, I suppose, in that sense, given the globalists are determined to crush all white societies, and these things are useful devices, to beat people over the head with, so white people over the head with. Now, but if the reverse is the case and a black guy does the shooting and kills then we're not talking, it's not worth reporting. And if it is reported, it's maybe a sub-headline for a few hours, and that's the end of it. So now, at the same time as this guy, this very disturbed young man shot these 3 black people. I'm pretty sure it was 3. At the same time, there were multiple gun homicides of blacks shooting each other in Chicago in the United States. That didn't get a mention anywhere. It didn't even get a sub headline. In fact, you'd have to go to a local newspaper in Chicago to get a report on anything like that. But why was that? Blacks shot each other, in far greater numbers than the white guy did. But isn't more black people were shot, more black people were killed, more black people were killed. But that isn't news anywhere. Excuse me. if your concern is about black people getting shot, I mean, which it isn't, and we know it's all about propaganda, but let's assume it was, then why wouldn't you report what's happening in Chicago and say, well, at the same time, we need to get some perspective here. At the same time as this shooting went on, 17 people were shot in Chicago, 4 of whom died, and then 2 died subsequently from their injuries, and so wouldn't that be an issue? Wouldn't you say about the amount of gun battles that occurred in with drug gangs and so on? But these are black people getting killed. Black people getting killed. This is huge international news. When someone black gets killed, Black Lives Matter. Are you saying black lives don't matter? You fucking fascist Nazi Hitler. So now, at the same time as those shootings are going on in Chicago, we've got a similar number of shootings in Baltimore, in the Northeast there in the United States. So isn't that something that should be headline news? I mean, shouldn't we be looking at that? And shouldn't that get equal billing with the other one? I mean, but it's not even mentioned. It's nowhere to be seen. Instead, these screaming headlines about evil white people, but nothing about all the black people being shot in Chicago or Baltimore or St. Louis or New Orleans or something. No, nothing about that. Why don't they do a story every weekend about how many black people are shot by other black? No, that's not going to happen, because vastly more black people were killed by other black people on that same day than were shot by this crazy white guy. So why wouldn't that get mentioned? But it doesn't, and it's again not even a minor mention. Now, so when black people shoot white people, even though their intention is quite clearly racist, they just hate white people, doesn't get mentioned, doesn't get a headline. If the killings are mentioned at all, they don't mention the racist side of it, that it was a black supremacist wanting to kill white. That's not even mentioned. When it's the white guy, then suddenly he's this incredible white supremacist. He's Hitler, and he's got swastikas, and he's a white supremacist, and he's this and he's that, and his online postings, everything's there. But the guy's only 19, but somehow he's got this 1,000-year, million-year history of doing all these things. Excuse me? So they even invent and embellish how bad the white guy is. He personally sat down with Hitler. What are you saying, you fucking morons? So this is the difference in reporting. So it's not only the selection of stories, but it's how they're reported. One's downplayed very substantially, and the other is embellished to unbelievable, if not hysterical, levels. And we're seeing this in all sorts of, whether it be race or gender hustling. Like if he kills her, it's in the gender side of things, it's because he's an evil fascist Nazi Hitler. If she killed him, it's only because she's oppressed. She's oppressed, only she's sticking up for herself. So when the black people do, well, they're fighting back against oppression. So murder is quite acceptable in that sense there. But when the white guy does, Hitler, he's Hitler. That's it. End of story. He's Hitler. So that they also want to give this impression that the media, the globalist funded media, give this impression that white society is completely illegitimate. So it's very much a guilting and shaming thing that particularly children will be more vulnerable to. And if you're told often enough that you're bad and evil, and that evil things that other people do is always hidden, if a Christian does something to say, leaves some pork, bacon or pork or something on the doorstep of a synagogue or a mosque or something like that, then it's an international screaming headline. But if Christians are brutally killed in large numbers in somewhere in Asia, the subcontinent, or in Africa, if it even gets a mention at all, the killings may get mentioned, but then nothing about that it was Christians that were killed. And you're lucky to get even a mention of it at all, as I say, on the sub headline. If the reverse is the case, they can blame Christians for it, then they go hysterical, and it's endless, night after night after night, day after day of headlines, and it goes on forever. school teachers are reading this out in class, saying evil white people, evil Christians, evil, and so on. And it goes. Now, if you're a school kid in, say, London or any city where there's a lot of black people, you know who the crime, who the criminals are. You don't really need a teacher to tell you. You can see it in front of you, but you're still told that you're the bad, not them. You're the bad person. So either you're bad all the time, or whatever they do is bad. You made them do it, which makes you badder than badder. And this, now, I remember this kid at school, and he had this. I don't know. I thought she was a bit strange. This mother who was forever telling him he was doing bad things, and that he was, and if I'd been over his place, and I didn't really like to go to his place because of what I thought was sort of over the top here. But his mother was constantly telling him he was bad doing bad, or that he was planning to do bad. Somehow he had some undefinable evil wickedness in his heart, and he was always wanting to do something bad, but just because he hadn't done bad doesn't mean he didn't want to. And she sort of seemed to treat him like that all the time. And just another, I was out shopping some time ago now, and it's not the first time I've seen this, where this woman dropped something. I think it was a bookshop. I think it was. Or magazines maybe, and she dropped a magazine on the floor. Then she said, "Look what you made me do." And there's a kid there, a boy. I don't know. He was somewhere between 8 and 10 years old, I suppose. And she said, "Look what you made me do. Say you're sorry." And this was a well-worn routine. You could see it. And he just walked off. And so she chased after him. She's dropped the magazine. Okay, he's nowhere near her. He's got nothing to do with it. She chases after him and taps him on the shoulder. Say you made me do it, and say you're sorry. And he kept on walking with his back to her. He's trying to get, and she runs after him, holding on to him. So he has to humiliate himself and go through this self-abasement thing for his mother. And you've got to be kidding me. So anyway, this sort of constant blaming white people, and the young would be more vulnerable to this, constantly blaming white people and pretending that it's only white people who do it. And if white people do it, it must be uniquely bad because they're all Hitler. But if black people do it, it's only because, they're only fighting back against evil white Nazi oppression. That sort of cumulatively, and I don't doubt this is the purpose and intent of it, cumulatively, it ends up that you undermine and erode people's resistance to lies and propaganda and untruth. The whole purpose of this is to degrade and crush and guilt and shame people without core. There's no basis in fact for this. For every one white person that shoots a black person, there are 10 black people that shoot white people. But those facts don't come out. So the media, all the white people in the media, and all the white people in the, it's white people doing it to themselves and being rewarded by the globalists for it. Are going around actually believing that somehow white people are uniquely the most evil people ever in human history, and that everyone else is by comparison virtuous. And so there's this constant, well, we have to misrepresent the news, we have to tell lies, we have to select the stories, we have to do the propaganda because it's punishment for those evil fascist Nazis. So we're justified in doing it. And it's the same sort of thing of the way they're going after Donald Trump. It doesn't matter if we've got facts. It doesn't matter if he did anything wrong, because we're fighting evil and we're allowed to do it. And this, of course, goes back to whether you want to go to the Inquisition or really the witch trials or anything like that. We're allowed to invent evidence. We're allowed to fabricate evidence. We're allowed to tell lies. We're allowed to do whatever we want to fight back against this. What we say is an evil presence. I mean, it's insanity, and it's a terrible retrograde step in human development. But there you are. You've been a task for us today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.